not you now, you know, I know how you feel. She related to that. Good. What doesn't she do that maybe she could do if she had a smaller classroom?
Well, she says she's unable to greet them individually, that she'll meet like a certain group or a few individuals and kind of model what she wants to do if she had probably a smaller classroom. So, I mean, you could really get to know the students on a one-to-one level, I guess.
Yeah. How do you get to know students on a one-to-one level? Learn names, know their names, okay? So beyond simply the easy technique of smiling, which is really the easiest way of building rapport, and sometimes that's the first thing I tell TAs who are having trouble building rapport is smile. I know, again, straightforward, but it's very powerful. Smile, remember to smile, especially if you are feeling nervous tomorrow or Friday or Monday or whichever day it is. Take a deep breath, smile, goes a long way. But most of you will be running much more manageable sessions, okay, or section sizes. You won't have 200 people. You'll have 23 people, or 25 people, or 30 people, and it's entirely possible to learn names. Any of you guys with teaching experience already? A lot of you in here. What are some strategies that you guys have come up with for learning names?
Well, I learned about learning names, but what I would do, I would show up a little early on first day of class, and I just talked to them one by one as they walked in. And the class I was teaching that had like a hard reputation on campus, and I talked about that, like just so that I know where they're coming from and what they're doing. And I just told them if they listen to me and do what I say, they'll be all good.
Great. Other techniques for learning names, or techniques for learning names?
I mean, like, collecting assignments is your key time to review the names, right? Because, especially if you give them something that's like, is short and you are collecting right there, like a little response to in-class writing thing, just pick it up and give somebody whose name you don't know, like, what is the name, we're going to give it to you as part of like an attendance or something like that. And then call on them right after, so it like locks it in.
Great.
You can try icebreakers.
Terrific. Do you have a good one?
I used to facilitate some like workshops, so I think one of them is like your name, your major, and like how you like your eggs.
And how you like your eggs. That's a good one. That's terrific. Yeah.
Just what I would always do is be straightforward and say, like, I'm bad at memorizing names, so if you think I don't know your name, call me out on it. And if I don't know it, you get to laugh at me. And then that way they're like asking me, what's my name? And then I have to learn it or remember it.
That's such a good strategy. Sometimes people are worried, don't learn names because they're afraid they'll mispronounce them or afraid they'll forget them. You know, admit that you can be, you know, fallible. You know, admit that you'll make mistakes and keep struggling to learn them. Excellent. There was, yeah.
What I would do, I would make them pair up and interview each other, and then introduce the other person. That way they already make a friend in the class. At the end of the class, I'd make them exchange emails.
That's such a great point, because beyond you learning their names, another important way to build rapport is to build rapport amongst the members of the classroom. So the best classes that I've taught are the ones in which not only I know the students' names, but they all know each other's names as well. So that's a great strategy. Yeah.
I would do kind of like two things. Listen to them talk to each other, but use each other's names. So that's going to be a good one. While I would always listen to it. I would also like force myself to do attendance from memory every single day. So that would be good exercise.
That's my other strategy, is take attendance. Rather than passing out a sign-in sheet, you know, call out names. A lot of people sometimes think that that takes up a whole lot of time. Not if you have 20 or 30 people, it takes about 90 seconds. It forces you to match faces to names, especially if you don't just let them call out here, but if you make them raise their hands, or if you ask them. You ask them to do things, don't do things. Ask them to raise their hands and match faces to names. Also in quarters where I've taken attendance throughout the whole quarter, regardless of whether or not points are assigned to attendance and participation, attendance is better throughout the whole quarter. So I would really, really encourage taking attendance out loud every single day. It doesn't really take up that much time. These are great suggestions. I'm wondering if you, I know there are lots of other techniques for building rapport. I wonder if you would maybe turn to your colleagues and come up and talk about some further techniques for building rapport that we haven't mentioned yet? Discuss. No, we'll sort of lean back. What are other ways of building rapport?
Body language.
So what are the brilliant strategies that you guys come up with? Brilliant strategies. Good ideas. All that and nothing. Oh, come on. What'd you hear?
Ask them about their weekend as well.
Yes, ask students about their lives. Don't just make your class all about you. Simply, how was your weekend? How are you feeling? Yeah, absolutely. What else?
I just kind of remember like ask about rumors going on, stuff like that.
Sure.
That usually works.
Sure. Interesting. Way to get them talking and a way to warm up the day.
Is it seen as wasting too much time? I know one thing the press used to do with us in undergrad was just kind of go around the classroom and ask, what's your major, or what are you interested in? Are you being forced to take this class, or do you want to take this class? And then we kind of go around, or is it kind of like
No.
the time was?
You should do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You might disagree.
I think it's worth taking the time to build rapport. I think you always have time to build rapport. Absolutely. Even halfway through a quarter, right? If you see that you're lacking in rapport, I think even asking that question, how much time is it really going to take in one class? 15 minutes. I think you have time. It's very important to build rapport. It's worthwhile. We talked about the benefits of it. I don't think it's a waste of time. Not at all. I think people underestimate the importance of building rapport. Other techniques that we haven't mentioned, it's obvious that you're probably going to come into class on the first day, and by the way, that's where building rapport starts. It's either the first day of class or potentially even before that. Students are emailing you or your presence on a website, a course website. But really the first day, obviously you're going to write your name on the board, but what a lot of people forget is to tell students how you'd like them to address you. Sometimes students don't especially freshmen, don't really understand the role of the TA. You're not a professor, you're not a high school teacher, and they don't know quite what to call you. So if you don't tell them how to address you, they simply won't. They'll just avoid talking to you. So tell them what it is you'd like them to call you, whether it's your first name or Ms. or Mr., whatever it is, that decision's up to you. Tell them, yeah.
Is there like a policy going on? Can they go first name?
There's no policy on it. No, it's really up to you. You know, a lot of these choices are your own. You'll all develop your own teaching strategies, your own persona in the classroom. I've done both. I've said, call me Megan. I've said, call me Ms. Stein. In the end, at the beginning, when I was first a TA, I was worried, and I hear this a lot from incoming TAs, that they're worried that they won't be able to establish authority in the classroom. Are you guys worried about that? No. Good. Okay, I'm glad you're not worried. But I hear that worry is a really common worry. And actually, that's never been a problem. So I started out asking students to call me Ms. Stein, and then now I have everybody just call me Megan, and it's great. It's fine. So, but it's completely up to you. Completely up to you. But tell them how you'd like to be addressed. Encourage them to see you outside of class. Encourage them to come to office hours. Tell them where your office is. Tell them how to find it. When they do get to your office hours, it's a pretty big deal sometimes for a freshman to actually find your office, to get there at the right time. You might be slightly intimidating to them. Okay, so express, you know, if not joy, at least pleasure, you know, at their presence. Happy to see you. We talked about learning their names. We talked about asking them about their lives. Encourage their questions. Oh, another way, and especially thinking about building this relationship of mutual respect, somebody mentioned coming to class early, maybe, and chatting with them. That's being respectful of them. Return their emails. If they email you, return their emails. And do it as quickly as you can. Students really appreciate that. Or if you really dislike returning emails, you know, I don't know, if you check your email every 24 to 48 hours, maybe just tell them that in advance. Tell them what time frame they can expect so that they don't feel as though, you know, you're ignoring them. Be positive, saying things like, great job today, guys. I know it sounds silly or straightforward, easy to forget to do, and it can really help build rapport. Be personable, use humor. Don't be afraid to make a bad joke. Sometimes bad jokes are the funny ones, okay, because then they get to laugh at you. And of course, don't forget to smile. Show you another clip. You might recognize this clip.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the Great Depression, passed the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very